Hello, Farlanders! My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Farlands or Bust. This is episode 801. Do you like my shoes? Do you like my magical floating shoes? Certainly, Wolfie wanted us to look at them for an inordinate amount of time. But I made new boots at the end of the last stream, I believe it was. I made new boots, and we are ready to walk in them to the Farlands. Okay, hopefully we don't bury ourselves in the sand. Here in Minecraft Beta 1.7.3, as we've been doing for many, many moons. Wolfie, you really, you know, you make people think something's wrong with their speakers or something. But I assure you, it is just a stupid thing that I do at the start of every Farlands or Bust episode. Like I said, this is episode 801 for your Thursday, October 1st, 2020. Being recorded live on Twitch the day before. He needs a boutray. My goodness, Rat. My goodness. That is a deep, deep Farlands or Busts recall there. That's some very specific lore that you've remembered for whatever reason. I'm fine. We are raising money for charity here, as we do here in Farlands or Busts. We're raising money for the Equal Justice Initiative. farlandsorbust.com is where you can find more information and donate yourself up to $1,291.69 nice cents. Thank you, everybody who continues to support and who continues to give us questions here. Us, as in me and Wolfie. And we'll continue to walk and answer them, and of course support EJI for their human rights efforts and equal rights efforts. That'd be much appreciated indeed. How am I doing? I could chop down a tree, I suppose. A little tiny tree. A little tiny tree indeed. I was just talking to the chat about I had my first virtual doctor's visit, which was just weird over Zoom. I mean, I'm always kind of weird with doctor's visits anyway. Whoa, careful there. But just over Zoom is weird as well. I mean, I understand it, but also, like, at what point should we just be texting back and forth? You know, like where does that begin and end in its usefulness? But I don't know. I mean, got it done and over with. It's certainly something I procrastinated for quite a long time on. I haven't. I think I visited the doctor at the end of 2019. And then I moved and everything that ever could happen happened. And it hasn't been on the top of my priority list. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting indeed. And speaking of weirdness, GG Memnarch. Oh, I don't know that this is Memnarch, or this is someone who just named themselves GG Memnarch, due to the back and forth bath bomb subtub gift sub war that was going on. But they ask, do you have any planned holidays after COVID ends? Oh, such innocence. And when, if America stops being on fire? Oh, that's a real knee slapper. Jokes. And I'm assuming that this is said in the European usage of holidays, as in vacations, or trips, or getaways, as opposed to holidays, as in like Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, that sort of thing. Such optimism, such naivety. No, nothing. No, it's very, very difficult to plan. We had planned something in May, but everything surrounded that obviously got canceled. And then the girlfriend's business got shut down, so now she doesn't feel like she could take any days off in order to catch up for what she lost during all that. But yeah, I mean, we talk about this stuff. We really want to go on a road trip. I think a road trip would probably be the most sensible thing instead of like going to an airport and getting on an airplane, particularly. But I mean, then we would probably still have to like stay in hotels or something like that anyway. So I mean, you can't totally mitigate the risks. Only as best you can. So yeah, I mean, we've always talked about just driving down through California, down to like Yosemite, and like back up and around, or even out east towards Yellowstone and back. Oh my, that's a big pack of wolves. That is a many wolfed pack, and it's very difficult to look at because it's off to our north there, and the terrain jitter is quite extreme. But not necessarily planned. Not necessarily planned. Just because it's very difficult to plan, like I said, things at all. So I don't know. I'm not sure. It'd be nice just to do like a weekend thing, like go out to the beach, I feel like. Out to the coast for a day or two, a night or two. But no, yeah, nothing planned. I mean, I had like on the same token, I haven't seen my family in Illinois since the previous Mindcrack marathon that took place in Chicago, and I haven't seen my mom since I've moved here, at least to Seattle, I think. She moved to Denver. And that was part of our plan in May, theoretically, was to drive to Denver. But like I said, everything did not happen. Everything happened, and then everything did not happen. So yeah, no specifics. And as far as like holidays, like the girlfriend even asked, like if I'd plan on going back home or visit family for holidays, and like even that, I'm like, I don't know if that sounds good. I don't think that I wanna, like, I don't wanna, generally speaking, just as far as traveling around the holidays, but, and the fact that we have pets makes it slightly difficult. Like, Juno would be fine to board somewhere, but the cats are a little bit more particular, and we don't really know anybody that we can trust to, say, like, house sit with them, or even, like, visit them and take care of them every day. So that also does indeed make decision-making a little bit more difficult. Especially if we were to take, like, a road trip, which is, like, at least a week and possibly more. Bloink. So yeah, thank you for that donation and question. So yeah, things are weird. Things are weird, aren't they? I remember, like, not to dwell on this and bring everybody down, but I remember mentioning, like, COVID, like, before it was even a thing in an episode, like, February. Like, the first confirmed case in the US was, like, literally a town over from where I was living in Washington, the northern suburbs, I guess, of Seattle. And speaking of ye old innocent times, I like just remembering what I said Like, don't freak out about it, but you should be thinking about it. I kind of ignored myself. Like, I do wish, in particular, I had, like, any sort of, like, savvy with my very tiny retirement accounts that went all kaput at the end there. You know what else is gonna go kaput? Me, into this bed. Until the morning. And a kaputness. Kaputnik? Kind of like Sputnik? No? Anybody? Bueller? Alright. Carrying on. Modern underscore ringtone had a question with their donation. On a recent stream, 799.5, you mentioned, that sounded like a, that's like a radio station. FM 799.5, here with your latest hits. You mentioned watching the new Charlie Kaufman film. My question is, have you seen Adaptation, starring Nicolas Cage? I think I did, but I'm also not sure if I did. Like back when it was maybe like first out on DVD. Got to get it from the red box. Or in the mail from Netflix. I'm not sure. I honestly don't think I did. So, because I don't remember it at all. But then again, I'm pretty sure I saw Being John Malkovich, but I don't remember anything about it. Like I don't specifically have any lasting input on it. So I don't think so. What other Nick Cage films have you seen? Do you have an overall interpretation of his career? Underrated, overrated, or just about right? I don't know. He's just one of those weird dudes. He's just a weird dude. I mean, obviously the National Treasure movies I've seen. I mean, when I was littler, Raising Arizona was one of my favorite movies ever. Even if I didn't understand it completely at that age. That's some classic Nick Cage. I did just watch for the first time with the girlfriend Leaving Las Vegas, which is not at all what I thought it was about, but I'd never seen it before, and I guess he won an Oscar for it. I didn't think it was too great, honestly, but, like, okay. Like, for the 80s or whenever it came out, I'm like, yeah, I could see why people enjoyed that. Just like we also just watched for the first time, or I watched for the first time, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think it won Best Picture and stuff like that, but I'm like, I could see for the 70s it being kind of groundbreaking to have a movie all about, you know, from the patient's perspective of a mental health institution. But as far as modern terms, I didn't find it that, you know, shocking or anything like that. Good acting, sure, but yeah, there's a lot of these like movies that I just haven't seen just because they're like old classics, and it's like, well, everybody seems to think they're great, so I really don't need. I'll just assume that they're great and let people get on with their lives. Let me get on with my life. But no, I'm not a huge Nick Cage fan. Not a huge Nicolas Cage fan. Gone in 60 seconds. Like, I haven't seen any of his more recent, even more weirder stuff. Just because it's not what I'm about. Like, there was that one that was like a bloody horror situation that everybody was bananas about, being all weird and crazy. So, yeah, I mean, that is my answer. This is a very specific answer. This, or question, rather. I don't know that we've ever had very specifically, do you like this exact content, this exact actor or musician or whatever? it's always been like open-ended. So I appreciate the specificity, because as you know, I have problems with vagueness. Speaking of vagueness, Stark asked a question. Thank you very much. Tell me about your dreams, Kurt. No. Specifically, have you ever had falling or tooth losing dreams? I've never had, I don't think I've had falling dreams. I have a recurring situation about elevators that are like broken and malfunctioning, which I guess is the fear of falling. But to the best of my recollection, they never actually fall. They're just like weird, either like glass elevators that never take you to the floor you want to go to and like stop between floors, or they're just like platforms without any sort of railing, or, you know, that go really high up and stuff. So that's a recurring thing. And yes, I do and have had the teeth shattering, falling out thing. Although I have a lot of that less now, since I started taking the anti-anxiety medication. The weird nightmare sort of things have pretty much stopped, for the most part. But yeah, the teeth falling out thing, it's pretty frequent. The, what else was there? I mean, I've had dreams where, like, suddenly I have a full head of hair again, and I, like, have to figure out how to style it. Like, I don't know what that is. That might just be a very particular bald person situation. But yeah, it's normally, like, if my teeth fall out, they, like, come out in, like, shards. Not, like, whole teeth, but they come out like shattered fiberglass or something. It's very, very bizarre. I'm having a lot of, like, high school dreams. I think my brain has kind of like given up on it already, because it used to be like, oh no, I'm back in high school because I never finished these 2 classes, but now I need to be back in these 2 classes, and it's like totally fine that like somebody in their late 30s is back in high school. But like, you didn't study. But like, lately I've been like, well, I don't care. I don't care. I went to college and have a degree from college. It doesn't matter. So I feel like whatever internal psychology was related to that has mostly resolved itself. I have been having convention dreams. Like I'm at a convention or a Mindcrack marathon, and just like being up and around everybody all at the same time, but there's like no real organization. Lately it's been travel dreams, where I'm packing up to leave to go back home, and like I don't want to miss my flight or the checkout in the hotel, but like all my stuff is still out of my suitcases, and then it turns into like moving, like I actually have to move all the furniture too. And there's like stress related with that. That one has overtaken the high school anxiety one in the last few months, I believe. Yeah, that happened. Uncle Scientist says that they have dreams where they've forgotten their mask if they go somewhere. That happened with one of the convention dreams I've had. I'm like, oh, nobody's wearing a mask around here. I forgot my mask. And then I think that was like the brief amount of lucidness that I needed where I woke up. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, I definitely have had all the your standard. I need pigs. I mean, might as well, huh? This pig was dry. All these pigs are dry. Ah, there we go. Yoink. I'll let you live to tell the others. So yeah, I think everybody has, or at least everybody in our Western similarly experienced culture probably has dreams along the same lines as that. But yeah, I can't say I've had a tooth fallen out one recently. Can't say I've had any of that. Abby has a question with their donation. Thank you, Abby. I've never heard you express an affinity for role-playing or immersing yourself into RPGs. Quite the opposite. I have expressed my disinterest in such things as these. I just don't like the acting part of it. It's very difficult for me to do that sort of thing in real life with friends or something like that. When traversing the Farlands, do you imagine your character doing any sort of particular extra activities or adventures? Or is your character just you having a stroll? I'm pretty sure, like, I don't have... Well, basically, everything that happens in front of the camera here. On video or whether it's streaming or whatever. So he definitely doesn't exist. The journey doesn't exist when the game is closed, when the world isn't loaded. Let's go to sleep. And awakeness. So yeah, I don't know. It is... That's what happened to that boat? Oh, beans. And it's also... I think it's just tough in general for me to role play in games. Like, as I think everybody usually has caught up on... I know there's some streamers and broadcasters who, like, really embody and, like, act like the character. But I'm definitely a third person. Like, in a Tomb Raider game, I get mad at Laura for not jumping this way or doing that thing. It's not... I'm not her. Like, Laura is the third-party entity. So it's hard for me to, like, immerse myself in the game. Or in the character. And I think that applies here in Farlands or Bust, too. Like, yes, I talk to Wolfie, and yes, I'm like... I yell at skeletons or pigs or whatever. But that's kind of more just a thing I've learned broadcasting and recording. So yeah, I don't like, the character is me, but also I think, like, with, like, fan art and stuff, like the stuff Rosie has done, like, that doesn't, that, like, I see those sorts of things, and that's not me, that's the series, that's Farlands or Bust. And it even is kind of weird to have artwork as my, like, YouTube avatar. But since Farlands or Bust is the only thing I'm doing on the YouTube, it makes sense. But it's also like, that's not me. that's the brand. So yeah, no. But I still, like, I think it's very interesting that there is, like, lore. That there is, like, the hidey hole paradox and rescuing Wolfie, and what happened in the Nether means we can never go back to the Nether, and the golden apples, the golden records, you know, all these sorts of things. The pink sheep. So I guess that's a disconnect. It's hard to explain, I think. It's hard to explain. I'm not sure what the narrative term is. Third person, fourth person, fourth wall, whatever it is the way it is. I think that should clear things up, right? Let's see here. Doc Gratis has a question. Can you tell people things that give you hope or make you feel hopeful? Or is this too abstract a question? Speaking of abstract and vagueness. Alternately, have you ever learned how to play a musical instrument? Sort of, but not completely. To both questions, no. I bought, or I have a guitar. I still have it, I guess. And I like tried to teach myself a little bit. I even got one of those like lessons on tape cassette. And then I had an electric guitar for a little bit, like a cheap department store one. Kind of like, you know, the similar thing to telescopes. The cheap department store electric guitars are about the same quality as the cheap department store telescopes. But then I sold that to a friend just because it wasn't working. But yeah, I tried to learn the guitar. Ooh! Hey! Hey everybody. Windows wants me to finish setting up my device. I am going to dismiss such things as these with this computer that I've had for 5 years that is now is asking for me to set up, I guess. That, and then I also did take piano lessons in college because it was like a requirement for the certain degree. And I like the piano a little bit better because it didn't, like, the problem with a lot of instruments, but like particularly string instruments, is that like your body has to be good at it. Like your body has to have those calluses to make the right sound, as opposed to a piano. If you can press this key, then you can make the same note as anybody else. So yeah, I thought I was the teacher said I was good at the piano. I had like natural rhythm, or you know, an ear for music, pitch, tone, whatever. But I never kept up with it, and I never expanded on it beyond the class. And like that's the first time I really like kind of learned to read music a little bit. But no, I never like fully learned an instrument. I asked the girlfriend the same question, like, if you could learn an instrument, what would you want to learn? And she said the drums. And I said, well, practically the piano, because then you could like apply that to like synthesizers and sort of thing. Impractical, I would just want to do something wild and impractical, like a theremin or a full-size harp. This is something wild that could be a parlor trick for my many friends I see all the time. Can you tell people things that give you hope or make you feel hopeful? I mean, something else that we noticed with the medication I'm on is that it makes you all just kind of even. As you know, it raises up the lows, but it also dulls down the highs. I'm seeing Doc say that I can skip this. Don't we all just want to skip this question from within ourselves all the time lately? So yeah, that's so I feel like the same thing affects, like, even like me and the girlfriend. Sorry, everything. It's the only person I'm seeing on a regular basis. The only human interaction I'm having. So I'm sorry if everything comes back to this conversation with the girlfriend. But we were talking about like plans and vacations and things we want to do, and I'm like, I don't look forward. I look forward to things, but I don't look forward to things. Like, it's not like I don't get like a high or like a woo for like upcoming, I'm gonna do this. So and I think that a lot of it's my personality. I'm very dull, but like a lot of it is the medication, I'm sure, as well. So yeah, I feel like the same thing about hope. I have I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful at things. But I also understand it's going to take a lot of time for things, just general things in the human world, to get to a place where we don't need to worry about these things as frequently as possible. State of countries and health, vaccines and pollution and global warming, and you know, that stuff. So there's hope. Hopeful. I'm hopeful. Like, I can see a path to these things, but it's a long path. It's an uncomfortable path, and it's a path that there are a lot of other interests and people will be very resistant to. And one hopes that it doesn't require more pain than is necessary to achieve this better state of the world that we can all hope for. But then you also have to be like, well, what am I willing to sacrifice personally, physically, to move the needle a little bit further in the direction of justice, equality, happiness, all these things for everybody, and away from isolationism, hatred, greed, these things that have been a very integral part thus far. So yeah, there. There. Indeed. So let's build the end of the episode of Hidey Hole here. I got a few more questions still in the bag, but I'll definitely be needing more. So farlandsorbust.com is where you'll want to go to find the link to donate to the Equal Justice Initiative. Yet another one of those steps. Not a catch-all solution. You know, donating previously to pause isn't gonna save all the animals in the world, but it's a step. It's things being done, people doing something. Whoop, no, I want to put a torch there. And just the same with EJI, it's not gonna make everything change all at once. Same thing with an election. Isn't going to make everything change all at once, but you want it to change for the better. Even if it's not your ideal, it's not the goal, it's the step on the way. You don't want to take a step backwards, right? So, anyway, I digress. Let's make a few beds here, and thank everybody for watching. Maybe a boat, too, while I'm at it. And, yeah, I already did the Farlands or Bust deal. Donate to our charity. That'd be much appreciated. My name is Kurt. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Oop. That's the brand.